If you go to ChatGPT or Claude, hand it a picture of a trading chart and ask it to analyze it or give you a signal, stop. That's not gonna work at all. First, the AI can't see the exact price. It's only guessing from the image. Second, it doesn't have a specific trading strategy, so it falls back on general knowledge, which doesn't work well in trading. In this video, I'm gonna show you how to use Claude Desktop to trade with any strategy, whether it's your own strategy or one that you find on YouTube or anywhere else. You'll see how to connect your MetaTrader to Claude Desktop using two MCPs, one for backtesting and creating EAs and indicators, and one for executing and managing your trades. You'll also see how to use simple and professional skills to make the AI trade like a pro. Last but not least, I'll give you a tool to automate Claude Desktop, something you normally can't do. Since we're gonna use Claude completely free, we need to do some extra work, because Claude Desktop doesn't have the level of access to your device that Claude Code does. So some manual configuration is needed. Nothing hard, but you'll want to watch the full video if you want everything set up perfectly. Without further ado, let's get started. The first thing you have to do is install the MCPs, the toolboxes that connect your MetaTrader 5 to Claude, so it can do things like fetch price data or execute trades. We have two MCPs, MBT and MTX. MBT or MT5 Backtest Toolkit is an MCP I built specifically for backtesting using Claude Code or any other platform. You can use it in Claude Desktop, OpenAI Codex, Google Anti-Gravity, or any MCP compatible platform. It has several tools including fetching price, backtesting your indicator and EAs, and even compiling your code and surfacing the errors so the AI can fix them. I made a full video on that, link in the description. MTX or MT5 Trade Executor, on the other hand, is exactly what it sounds like, built for executing trades. It can open and close all types of market and limit orders, set TPs and SLs, manage your positions, and basically everything your MetaTrader does. With these two MCPs, your AI has full access to your MT5 and can do anything. If you want to know more about either of them, check out their README files. To download MBT, head over to the MBT GitHub repo, copy the install command from the repo, paste it into your terminal, and press enter. It'll install MBT and all the required dependencies. We'll also need this address later to add it to the config file in Claude. It's basically the path to the MCP server.py. So for now, copy and paste it somewhere. Now let's install MTX. Change the path to the MTX folder, then copy the command from the MTX repo and paste it into the command prompt and press enter. On Windows, replace CP with copy, which is the correct command in CMD. Now we have to set up the config files for both MBT and MTX. Open the config file in the MBT folder, copy the target path of your MetaTrader, and paste it to the strategy tester terminal path. Make sure to keep only one of the double quotes. Then do the same for the meta editor path. We need both of these for backtesting and for creating indicators and EAs. By the way, all backslashes need to be doubled. Then place the MT5 target path into the MT5 path as well, and save it. You also have to set the MT5 path for the MTX config file. Here we also need to set our MT5 credentials, account number, password, and server name. These are sent to you when you create an account with your broker. Well, we'll set the account number and server name directly, but for the password, we should use a .env file instead. You can technically enter your password in the config file too, but for security and best practice, we use the env file. To do that, create a plain text file, open it, and copy the MTX password from the config file into the env file. The format must match exactly what's in the config file. Add your password the same way you see it there, and save it. By the way, delete the .txt extension from the .env file. If you don't see the file extensions, they are hidden. Click File Name extension under the View tab to enable them. Then rename the .env file and remove the .txt extension. Now we need to add our MBT and MTX MPCs to Claude Desktop. Go to Setting in Claude Desktop, then Developer, and click the Config button to open the config file. Open the MTX repo page, copy the MCP server section, and add it at the beginning of the config file. Make sure there is only one opening brace. Then replace the path with your MCP server.py path. Do the same for MTX. Add it and replace the path. I'll include a sample in the description. Just use it and change the path. Okay, the setup is basically done. You should see the MCPs on their local MCP servers. If you don't, close Claude Desktop completely, quit, and reopen it. Any changes you make require a quit and reopen to take effect. Now your MT5 is connected to Claude. Just one more thing. If your broker symbols have a prefix or suffix, you need to mention that. For example, if your broker adds a 0 suffix, you'd say, give me Euro USD 0 price, or analyze Euro USD 0, not just Euro USD. MBT fetches candle prices and runs backtests. Now let's test MTX. Here are the tools available in MTX. For example, we can ask for our account balance. Let's try it. Find my MT5 balance. And there it is. It fetched my account balance along with some other info, and it's all correct. Okay, our MT5 is now fully connected to Claude with lots of tools available. You can technically create indicators and EAs with Claude, then ask it to backtest them and show you the results. You can also ask it to trade. For example, analyze Euro JPY and give me entry and exit points. However, this isn't the professional way to trade using AI. Now Claude has eyes and can see charts. It can also analyze based on its knowledge base and execute trades, but it doesn't have a strategy. It needs skills. In general, we can add skills to Claude so that it performs like a pro in a specific domain. In this case, trading a specific strategy. The simplest version of a skill is just an organized prompt with no tools attached. For example, here's what a basic prompt for ICT might look like. If you already have a strategy, you can simply write it out and ask Claude to turn it into a skill. Here's a template you can hand to Claude for that. By the way, check out the description for the prompts and template. If you want to use a strategy you watched on YouTube, you can give the link to Google Notebook LM. It can watch the entire video and pull the strategy out of it. Ask it to extract the strategy with all the details. Then copy the output, paste it into Claude, and ask it to convert it into a Claude Desktop skill. Once you have this skill, head over to Claude Desktop settings, click the skills menu, then upload the skill from the add tab. Now every time you ask Claude to do an analysis based on the strategy you uploaded, it uses that skill instead of relying on general knowledge. All of that is great, and it already puts you miles ahead compared to asking for an analysis from ChatGPT or Claude in your browser. But it's not the best, most ultimate way to get results. Every strategy has tools behind it. When you just hand Claude a plain markdown skill file with no relevant tools attached, it ends up calculating everything itself every single time. The best way around this is to build the tools yourself. For example, take a look at a skill I built for ICT. It's not just a markdown file. It's an actual Python toolkit that computes kill zones, liquidity levels, and market structure with exact reproducible math instead of asking Claude to eyeball a chart or work out session times by hand. Things like time zone handling and DST are notorious for causing silent bugs when left to an AI's judgment. So the tool handles that math deterministically and hands Claude clean, already corrected data to reason on top of. Now you have a Claude Desktop that can trade with any strategy and skill you gave it. However, there is one missing piece. Claude can now trade, but it can't monitor charts to find setups on its own. You have to prompt it every time. For example, if you want a chart analyzed every hour, you need to send the prompt manually hour after hour. Unlike Claude Code, where you can easily run a cron job to automate your trading, Claude Desktop doesn't support that unless you have the subscription plan needed for cowork, in which case Claude Code is the better option anyway. Since we want everything free in this video, I built another tool, a Claude Desktop scheduler. It simply runs your prompt automatically. For example, if you want your EURUSD chart analyzed every hour, you set the interval to 60 minutes. Every hour, it opens Claude Desktop, enter your prompt, and it starts analyzing automatically. To set it up, first download it. Open the folder, then open the config file. This is where you set up your schedule. There are a few settings in there, but basically you only need to change the interval if you want something other than the default, which is 60 minutes. And for Forex, you should change all to weekdays, since the Forex market is closed on weekends. That's it. Save it. One more thing. By default, Claude asks for permission the first time it wants to use MBT or MTX. Make sure to confirm that. It's a one-time confirmation, and from that point on, everything runs hands-free. Also, if you want Claude to open and close trades using MTX, set the execution mode to auto in the MTX config file. Now you can run the scheduler by double-clicking install.bat. You can stop it on install.bat and check whether it's running through the status file. Okay, we're done. Claude will now send you analysis based on your strategy and can trade for you. Just a few more tips. Make sure to test it on a demo account, especially for live trading. And if you can, use a Windows VPS. Especially if you're putting it on a schedule. A $10 VPS is more than enough to run your MT5 Claude Desktop and handle any other activity that might be risky. A VPS is basically a 24/7 machine for your schedule and an environment where whatever you do doesn't affect your PC or laptop. I built a VPS calculator that you can find the best VPS for your needs. Alright, that's it. Using Claude for professional trading for free. Of course, if you're serious about using AI for trading, you should consider Claude Code, especially for scheduling. First, it gives you more options, like sending signals to your phone, for example through Telegram. Second, it handles errors more gracefully, and it's actually easier to use overall. You don't need to set anything up manually. You just ask Claude to handle all the setup. We just did by hand. Anyway, I hope you liked this video. Check the description for all the templates and links. See you in the next one.